Hello there. A friend of mine found out that I have this YouTube channel, and he dared me to post a video about a job that I got when I was 21 years old, and I held on to that job until I was 27. Because apparently he'd never seen any videos on YouTube or anywhere else about a man who'd had this particular job. It's nothing horrible, don't worry. I was a DJ at a Honolulu strip club from 1987 until 1993, about 5.5 years. And how I got the job was actually pretty complicated. So I'll start off at the beginning. I was a part-time DJ in a local radio station here in Honolulu. Now, my boss, my immediate superior, the program director of the station, was already working at this strip club. It was called the Classic Cat. Its tagline, the cat house where the pussies purr. Yeah, anyway, one day Nick comes up to me and says the other DJ I work with, he's going on vacation for 2 weeks, and so they need someone to work his days while he's away. I figured, well, what the hell, might as well do it. It's only going to be, 2 days a week for 2 weeks, 4 days total. And then, I'm back to life as normal. Might be worth a few laughs. So I go down there and I get trained, and I learn how to work the equipment, learn how to introduce the girls, encourage tipping, make special announcements that the club does want us to make, like T-shirts, the kitchen being open, special promotions, that sort of thing. And I figured, yeah, okay. Working in radio, you learn about ad-libbing, and working the board in the DJ booth was a lot like working a radio station board. Not quite as complicated, but, it wasn't like working as a regular club jock, where you rely entirely upon the music, because the strip club DJ is required to talk a lot more. So it was more like working in radio, except you were in a club. What did frighten me at first was the fact that while in radio you can talk into a microphone, and while you know, or at least hope, that there are thousands of people out there listening to you, they can't really react right away to you if you screw up. But when you work in a club, the crowd there instantaneously can react, either positively or negatively, to something that you do. And they're not shy about it. So anyway, I got trained, and Torkild, that was his name. He was a young kid from Denmark. He was a club DJ in Denmark. He came to Hawaii, and he got a job as a strip club DJ for some reason. And he wanted to go back home to Copenhagen for 2 weeks. So he left. And I worked Torkild's 2 days, and then I figured, well, okay, I'm off now. And I get a call from the club telling me that Nick, my PD from the station, was now in the hospital. Nick had some problems, and substance abuse problems, and so he ended up in the tank at the local hospital, and they needed me to fill in for him for his 5-day-a-week schedule. So I was working 7 days a week. So I figured Nick was only going to be in the hospital for a couple of weeks, for a couple of days, but no, actually he was in the hospital longer than 2 weeks. So Torkild came back from vacation, and I was still working. Eventually, Nick got out of the hospital, and I figured, okay, I'm done. I've done my 2 weeks and then some. Nick's back, Torkild's back, and I'll just get a call when they need a DJ to fill in. Well, Nick worked all of 2 weeks before he ended up back in the hospital with the same problem, and this apparently was not the first time that this had happened. So the boss called me up and had me fill in for Nick, and then Nick got out of the hospital, but then no one could find him. No one knew where he was or what he was doing, or even if the guy was still alive, he would not answer his phone, he would not answer his pager, and so the boss decided, you know what, I've had enough. So he told me, Nick's fired and you're hired. Well, Torkild didn't want to work the 5-day-a-week schedule, and the boss didn't want him to either, because he had this Danish accent, and sometimes you really couldn't understand what he was saying if he was talking too fast. So the boss wanted me to do the 5-day week and him 2 days. So, I just settled into my full-time schedule, and eventually Nick left his state of incommunicado and expected to walk into the club and get his job back again, but the boss wouldn't hear of it, and the boss sent him away saying, "Don't come back, you're not working here anymore." So I still had to work with Nick at the station. Okay, I still had that job, and I had to go work with Nick, and that was difficult. But anyway, um, but the thing is, Torkild was a club jock back in Denmark, and he looked at being a strip club DJ as beneath him. He didn't like having to do it. He just did it because no regular club in Honolulu would hire somebody with a Danish accent like that. And so he was pretty much forced to work at this club. It was either that or go back to Denmark. He didn't want to leave Hawaii, so he worked in the strip club until one day he comes up to me in the booth. I'm working, and I figured, he's just visiting. Sometimes we do that. We go into our jobs on our days off. I know that's kind of lame. But he walks up to me and says, "Hey man, I'm sorry, but I'm out of here." And I thought, well, you're just leaving then, right? You're going home. And he says, "Yeah, I'm going home to Denmark permanently. I quit." So now I was back to 7 days a week working in this club. Well, at first, when I started there, all the girls hated me because I was inexperienced and I really sucked at the job. I have to admit that I was pretty bad at it. And some of the girls even went back to the boss and demanded that he fire me, but he refused. And eventually, working those weeks, weeks solid of doing the job, I eventually, got pretty proficient at it. I actually got very, very good at it eventually. And, everybody settled in and managed to get used to me. But it took a while to find a replacement for Torkild. It took about 3 more weeks of me working 7 days a week to find someone to take the job. And I became the head DJ of the club. I was in charge of catalog music, and I was in charge of the scheduling and all this other stuff. It was an interesting 5.5 years. And I have a lot of interesting stories. At least I think they're interesting stories to tell. And I might do so in future videos. So now you know. From the age of 21 to the age of almost 27, I was a DJ in a Honolulu strip club. I'll see you again soon.